Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. It's good to see you this morning. Man, oh man, have we got a lot to unload on you this morning. It is just the craziest morning. What's on the morning docket? Craziness. Absolute and utter craziness. It's like a fire hose opened up over the weekend, and I just can't drink it all in. Good morning, JW. Good morning, Cynthia. Morning, Jack Buck. It is happy Monday. Yes, it is. It is Monday, and like I said, the fire hose just opened up. And I tried avoiding watching too much of the news over the weekend because I knew it was going to be pretty much the same old thing, and sort of wanted to suss out how things were going to end up. And oh my God, it just it is like it just doesn't stop. It is insane the amount of panic that we have amongst the Democrats and the Republicans. The amount of just cope and seethe. You just can't imagine how bad it is. Private call of top Democrat fuels more insider anger about Biden's debate performance. If this is what you're worried about, then you've got some serious problems because everyone saw it on stage, live, well, pre-recorded in front of the entire world, not just the United States citizens, but in front of the entire world. How deteriorated this man is. Now, of course, it goes through the growing inside the top ranks, the Democrat Party, the Joe Biden's campaign, the DNC are not taking seriously the impact of his troubling debate. DNC Chairman Jamie Harrison and Biden campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez held Saturday afternoon calls with dozens of committee members across the country, a group of some of the most influential members of the party, like Soros and people like that. They largely ignored Biden's weak showing Tuesday night. Really? So it's the donors we're concerned with? We're not concerned with our country. It's the real question is how will Senator Graham et al. Snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? Well, and it just gets crazier and crazier. All right. Because instead, the people said Harrison offered what they described as a rosy assessment of Biden's path forward. The chat function was disabled and there were no questions allowed. If you don't like the answer, don't ask the question, I guess is what they're saying. I hope for more substantive conversation ahead of, hey, let's get out of here and just be cheerleaders. And here's the problem. What they keep talking about, American democracy. Well, let me bring something up for you guys so you can understand that this guy right here is going to explain American democracy for you in the best possible way. Let's listen.
Democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule, period. End of discussion. Now, that's not very complicated. Majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and I might add,
Deadly.
For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule.
Yes.
There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now, that's pure democracy in action.
Yes, it is.
But wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
Boom. That's it. That's all it takes. Whenever they keep talking about Democracy, democracy. Just remember they are talking about mob rule. They are talking about lynch mobs. They are talking about people coming after you in the most horrible way. Not not just you, the Republican, but you, the Democrat, you, the Libertarian, you, the worshiper of false idols, all of you. Who is this? I'm sorry, who is this? Doesn't matter. It was well spoken. It was well spoken of decades ago. It was spoken of whenever we had the birth of our country. We did not want mob rule. Threat to their democracy. Correct. Correct. That is where it becomes the biggest threat to their democracy. Many donors, party strategists, and rank and file DNC members are publicly and privately saying they want the 81-year-old Biden to step aside and to allow the party to select a younger replacement at the DNC. As of now, though, Biden's closest allies insist he remains well positioned to compete against Donald Trump. Those best positioned to replace him, oh, look, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, some of the most atrocious people in the world. That's who they want to replace Biden with. So whenever you folks are asking for a replacement of Biden, just remember that's what you're asking for. You're asking for Camel Toe, Newsom, and Whitmer to run your country. Not saying that they already aren't, but that's who they're asking for. And if you don't think that they won't come at you 100,000 times over in the aftermath of Trump defeating Biden, then you haven't been paying attention to the news over the weekend. Because right here, French voters propel far right national, and of course they have to call them far right national rally to strong lead in the first round of legislative elections. Now, France runs a little bit differently than the US does. Black and white clip. He looks familiar. Yes, exactly. Happy 1st of July to all Canadians and advance of 4th of July to you in the US. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And this is what they're not going to tell you everything here, but we're going to try to give you a little bit more information. Like I said, there's a flood of stuff coming out. So if I don't catch you in chat, it's because there is a flood coming out. The far right National Party, well, we're not even going to call them far right. We're just going to say the National Rally leaped into a strong lead Sunday on France's first round of legislative elections. Polling agencies projected bringing the party closer to being able to form a government in round two and dealing a major slap in the face to the horrible, crappy President Emmanuel Macron and his risky decision to call the surprise ballot. When he dissolved the National Assembly on June 9th after a stinging defeat at the hands of the National Rally in French voting at European Parliament, Macron gambled that the anti-illegal party with his historic links to, whoa, really? I doubt it. I doubt it. Does not make sense. Wouldn't repeat the success when France's own fate was in balance. This sounds to me like they are saying untruths. But it didn't work out that way when French polling agencies projected the national rallies and its allies got about 1/3 of the national vote on Sunday. Macron's prime minister warned that France could end up with its first government since World War II. Right-leaning government since World War II. If voters don't come together to thwart that scenario in round two next Sunday. The right is at the doors of power. He twice described the National Rally policy pledges as disastrous. He said the second round ballot, no one should vote to go to the National Rally. France does not deserve that. It sounds to me like they are crying over all of this. Now, the worst thing that these guys could possibly do is happen. If you don't believe me, see, for France, you won't see a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about in the news. Now, this is how the far left and Antifa, those, and you think that this is happening in one place? You think that if you saw this right here in the United States, if you saw this at the doors of the Capitol, so if you saw that at your doorsteps of the Capitol, would they consider that an insurrection? Would they arrest all of these people? Would they throw them in jail? Would they lock them under the jail? I mean, would you? You're, I don't know if I used to host including the audience interview. I'm thinking they're the same individual. That's funny. Do you think? Do you think that they might arrest every damn one of them? That's what's happening in France right now. What's going to happen in November when Trump wins? What's going to happen? What do you think is going to be the outcome? And then let's put it the other way. What do you think is going to happen whenever Biden wins? Are you going to see the same kind of thing happening at the Capitol? Or did they already put the fear into people? Because nobody will show up if it's Biden that wins. Why? Because they would be too scared that they would be arrested and thrown in jail. They could show up, be peaceful, stand outside and holler, and they would still be arrested. They would consider it an insurrection. And it's not going to get any better, folks. This is only July 1st. Question, what will happen when Trump wins? Will they mostly peacefully protest cities to the ground? Yeah, that is about the correct answer. That is about the correct answer of what they will be doing. So, of course, they have to talk about polls from CNN conducted soon after the debate found that most debate watchers thought Trump outperformed Biden. No, everybody saw that he outperformed Biden. It wasn't that they thought he did. Trump wiped the floor with him in probably the most polite way that he could. I think Trump actually felt bad for Biden because he could see he was just a doddering old man that does not know where he is or what's going on. The two men's favorability remained largely unchanged. No, we saw what happened. The left saw what happened. They are panicking right now. They are going to try everything to change the subject. The subject will not be about how horrible his performance was, but to change the narrative of how well he's done over the past 3 years. That is their talking points, and you have to hit them on that too. And every time they try to change the story, bring it back to them. Bring it back to their illegal activities, their horrible takes on all of this. Because this is what they said, according to Biden. He said, I didn't have a great night, but neither did Trump. Wrong, wrong, and wrong. Of Trump, Biden said the big takeaway was his lies. That's all you've got. But he's shown you time and time again, those lies were your lies that you told about him. Just when I begin to, sorry for Biden. I remember what a corrupted PDF file. He was for 99% of his life and stopped almost immediately feeling sorry for him. Good morning, T Rex. Good to see you. It is going to get crazy. They're super quick to bring up the accusations against Trump and say, look, he's a felon. Like I said, it is all a distraction. Don't let their distraction get the best of you. Don't even argue with their distraction. Play it like Trump did. The way that he handled himself was answer the question asked and stay away from answering questions that don't matter. His response on abortion was spot on. He said, "Yep, I'd sent it. I supported it going back to the states. Yes, I put conservative justices in there. They did what needed to be done." And then whenever it came back, well, what about this here abortion pill? The Supreme Court's banned it. And he says, no, if you read what just came out this morning, they did not ban that. Piss off. He didn't sit there and go through a long soliloquy. I think he toned himself down quite a bit because I think he also knew he was on limited time of what he could say. And of course, Harrison reinforced the president's message on the DNC call, which spanned roughly an hour. Hannah Moldovan, a DNC spokesperson, said the discussion was regularly scheduled quarterly conference with the committee's membership. The topics include Biden's energetic North Carolina appearance the day after the debate and the fundraising surge that produced more than 27 million for the campaign. It's like Harrison did not ignore the debate. No, Harrison has completely ignored the debate. The first thing out of Harrison's mouth, whenever asked about his poor performance, was just like, well, he's done a great 3 years. Or I can't imitate her voice because I don't want to break windows in my house. And I have no windows in this room, but her voice is so grating, it will break every damn window in my house. And I don't need that. It's grating on me. So, of course, they continue on here with France, reversed nearly 3 decades of tumbling voter interest for the first round of legislative. They're calling the right hate speech. They're calling everything about France. Macron did this to himself. Did this to himself. Speaking of the Supreme Court, of course, this is what comes up. Texas Supreme Court upholds the ban on hurting youth. And I'm just going to put it exactly like it is. This is doing nothing but harming youth. They've shown their hand. They have shown what they want to do to your children. They're not doing this to their children because they don't have any. I don't know if it's a jealousy thing or what, but they want to harm your children. They want to destroy your children. They want to destroy your future, their future. They're not worried about themselves. In Austin, Texas, the Texas Supreme Court upheld the state's ban on removing children's hearts, rejecting pleas from parents that it violates their right to decide and seek medical care for their children. That is not medical care, that is harming children. The 8-1 ruling from the all Republican court leaves in place the law that has been in effect since September 1st, 2023. Texas is the largest of at least 25 states that have adopted laws restricting or banning the crazy. The Texas law prevents children under 18 from accessing things that will damage them irreparably. Children who had already started the medications had to taper off their use. We conclude the legislature made a permissible national policy choice to allow children to be children. and not pawns for a political class. The lawsuit that challenged the Texas law argued it devastates children that are not able to get treatment from crazy doctors and crazy parents. The Williams Institute of UCLA School of Law estimates about 2,900 people, 13 to 17, 2,900 children, 2,900 children identify as not being right in the head. Almost 30,000 children are letting you know that there's something not right up here. Their mental health is in bad shape. The only justice dissenting Friday's ruling in the Texas Supreme Court was allowing the state to legislate away fundamental parental rights to harm children. They've been lied to. What do you think is going to happen with these 30,000 children whenever they become adults? Do you think they're going to be grateful to their parents for doing this to them? For not getting them the mental health that they need? I can't even believe it that people are still fighting for this. Our government shouldn't deprive youth of what we decide to do to them. That's what they're saying right here. They're saying our government shouldn't deprive youth of us being able to destroy their lives. That's all they're saying. And this isn't the gay community that wants this to happen. I mean, they're welcoming these children into their fold. But they don't want children being harmed. If they do, then they're just sick. And that's all I'm going to talk about on that. Like I said, there's so much out here that only the left can show you their stupidity in full glory. Detroit plans to harness solar power on vacant lots throughout the city. Can I tell you on how many levels this is a really, really bad idea? What does it take to get solar power? Okay. Requires solar panels, first of all. First of all, gotta love that they're saying, let's put these up in vacant lots. Well, who's going to care for the lots? And what do you think happened with all the homes that used to be there? Do you think they came through and stripped out all the electrical wiring and sold the copper? Copper is expensive right now. The price of copper has gone up. They plan on basically, why don't they just walk in there and give them just drop a whole bunch of rolls of copper and let them just start them on fire, use them for heat. This is such a bad idea. I can't even begin to tell you how bad of an idea this is, but they're going to tout it as something that's glorious. And let me guess, it's going to be taxpayer funded. The same taxpayers that just left the damn state because their city went to absolute garbage. Detroit. Patricia Kobelaski remembers when there were lots of people living in her East Side Detroit neighborhood. There aren't many anymore and haven't been for a long time. You think? Right now, on our side of the street, there are probably only 10 houses. Should be 50, 60, 78-year-old Kobelaski said Monday after the city announced a plan to bring its neighborhood solar arrays which are blocks of ground-based solar panels. Destroyed is using something it has plenty of, vacant land, to produce something the city needs, clean and relatively inexpensive energy. Pending approval by the city council, Kowalski's Gradiat Findlay neighborhood eventually will see solar arrays on about 23 acres of land. Jeez Louise, if you've got 23 acres of vacant land, why not turn it into a damn farm? Why not grow some vegetables fresh right there? You are in freaking Michigan. You are in the Midwest. You have some of the richest soil. Why are you building solar arrays? Why not build farms? If you've got 23 acres, build a damn farm. Feed the people. Ugh. Not far away, another East Side neighborhood is getting a raise of nearly 41 acres, while the third will get a array on 40 acres. Jeez Louise. Give the people food. They don't need solar panels. Give them food. God, these people are idiots. 5 other neighborhoods are finalists to get solar arrays. Resident groups had to apply to be considered for the program. The city is looking to build solar energy arrays on about 200 acres of prime land. The arrays would produce enough clean energy. It is not clean. We will say this again because you have to store the energy. What does it take to store the energy? It requires batteries. What is in those batteries? Those are minerals that have to come from the earth that little children in foreign countries have to dig out with their bare hands and probably die an early death from rot and disease. The arrays would produce enough clean energy to offset the current electricity by 127 municipal buildings. Oh, so it's government-owned buildings. That's what's going to get the electricity from the arrays. It's government, 127 municipal buildings, government building. That's who's getting the electricity. It's not clean at all. Oh, you have no idea. Detroit will use 14 million from an existing utility fund for municipal buildings, for government buildings. The solar fields are expected to ultimately save the city 4.4 million per year. No, the city should shut down the buildings, open it up to the people. Jeez Louise, we've seen property values and income tax revenues grow dramatically in our neighborhoods. While the city has made investments, I'm confident our $1.1 million a year investment for these long forgotten neighborhoods will produce real recovery for these communities. No, 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 no. We're taking we're taking from a utility fund instead of helping people out and lowering their taxes. We decided we're going to build some solar arrays that aren't going to last very long, but these people will be dead and they'll completely forget about it. Solar arrays, and they're saying 14 million to build. They're gonna burn through $14 million in less than a year. In less than a year, they are gonna burn through that, and these solar arrays are never gonna be built. And their complaint is gonna be, well, they keep stealing the copper wire. We can't figure out why they want to do that. It's just copper wire. First hailstorm, these things are destroyed. They're going to use substandard material. They're going to go with the lowest bidder. These are a bad idea. Over the past year, neighborhood groups held meetings to consider hosting solar fields. Those selected will receive $1,500 to $2,500 in community benefits. In community benefits, tax dollars. Uh, well, it does. It depends on how far you fall. Like, if I jump off the top of my roof, I guarantee you I'm gonna bounce at least twice. I won't get up, but I will bounce at least twice. That's why I try to stay off my roof anymore. Donna Anthony, 63. Oh, in 10 years, it isn't gonna matter. She'll be 73, and then she'll be crying. She wants to get new attic insulation, vinyl siding, new generator for her home. Anthony looks forward to not having vacant lots of abandoned houses nearby. It's still gonna be an abandoned lot. Just because you have a solar panel up there does not mean it's not gonna look abandoned. Who's gonna care for the lot? Who's gonna keep it trimmed down? The amount of heat that's gonna be produced in your neighborhood, you you really have no idea, sweetheart. They have sold you the emperor's clothes. When you come outside, you get depressed when all you see is trash being dropped. You go out and clean it up and it's right back there the next day. That sounds like the city's problem. And the city should be taking care of that, not building a field there. We've got 200 acres in Michigan. They want to take over, put solar fields in 200 acres that could be used to feed the city of Detroit. Do you realize what 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 the Iron Rabbit could do with 200 acres? She would have you guys like up to your ears in Brussels sprouts, corn. Hell, probably even have some goats from Valhalla there. I mean, the amount of food that could be produced off of 200 acres. Good Lord. "Oh, but I don't wanna have a smelly cow next door." Yeah, but guess what? You can go next door and get some fresh corn or some fresh beef. Jeez, these people. Yeah, there we go. Look, 633,000 people. Do you think that 200 acres could feed 633,000 people? Man, that's a lot of food. Who's gonna knock the snow off during winter? That's what you have storage for. You store for the winter. Yeah, who's gonna knock the snow off the solar panels in the winter? Oh, no. No, that's perfect. This challenge with solar is it's an industrial investment. That's the problem. It's an industrial investment. If you're getting that much sun, then why aren't you growing plants in there? Yeah, Goss also said, disappointed by the energy produced by the solar rays will not be used to lower utility bills for residents. No, it's going to be used to keep the municipal buildings operating. It's tax deferment. The city says 21 homeowners in selected neighborhoods have chosen buyouts to allow for demolition of their houses to make way for the arrays. Renters will receive the cost of relocating and 1.5 years free rent when they move. Wow. Wow. And you this these you also have to remember the governor of this great state is on the short list to become the next president. Or is she from Wisconsin? I think she's from Wisconsin, not Michigan. Whatever. They're still fucking idiots. Oh, this is horrible. But we do have more news on this right here. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? Do you know what that is? Here are their numbers for the COOF. Here are the numbers for the COOF. It's ticking up in some places, but other places it remains low. Really? You think that we really care about this? The news is trying to push this crap again. 300 deaths. Hospitalization 1.5 per 100,000 hospital visits. It peaked 35 in 2022. Cases, individual cases no longer tracked, but health officials can analyze wastewater to help them get a big picture to look at the virus may be spreading. Why is it wastewaters? It's inching up in higher levels in Florida, Utah, California, and Hawaii. The jib jabs, as of May, fewer than one quarter have received the latest jib jab. Fewer than one quarter. About 42% of people 75 and older, those most vulnerable to severe disease and death from the COOF, got the latest shots. I go down, normally just stay there. I know the feeling. Yes, this is what they want it to be. And everybody was in such a panic in 21. Oh, but there's more, because we also have these fools right here. AP is setting up a sister organization, and guess what? They're seeking grants to support local and state news. Why would AP doing this? It's setting up a sister organization that will seek to raise money to support state and local news reporting as the crisis in that sector shows little sign of abating. It's not a crisis. We are just sick of your lies, AP, especially whenever we can call this out on a regular basis. The organization, which will have a board of directors. Oh, great. That means that they're going to get paid money. Will solicit philanthropic spending to boost the news coverage. So basically, they are coming after me. They're coming after anybody else that's reporting on local news, on bigger picture issues. They are wanting to eliminate us. They do not like us. Journalism school. You know how many times I went to journalism school? Oh, I might have banged a few from journalism school, just saying. Besides philanthropy, the AP has been more aggressively marketing its own news website and asking for reader donations. We believe there's a gap in the U.S. market in the consumer area for people who want independent, fact-based, nonpartisan news. Bull. Bull, bull, bull. So what do you think? What do you think? AP starts reaching out to people reporting like me? Do you think AP starts reaching out to us and would you like to come work for us? No, because I'm not going to toe your lies. Because none of what the AP has been doing has been fact-based. They've been trying to put a spin on every single bit of it. I don't know if it's the journalists and they don't vet them or what. But do you think I would want my paycheck to be dictated by a bunch of corporate assholes? No. Because then we have to see crap like this on a regular basis. Do you really want to see crap like this? Gathered at Camp David, Biden's family tells him stay in the race. Elder abuse. President Joe Biden's family used Saturday gathering at Camp David to urge him to stay in the race, keep fighting despite his dreadful debate performance, and some members criticized how his staff prepared him for the face-off. Biden spent the day sequestered with First Lady Jill Biden, his children and grandchildren. Oh. The gathering was also an exercise to try to figure out how to quell Democrat anxiety that has exploded following his crappy performance on Thursday. While his family was aware of how poorly he performed against Trump, they also continue to think he's the best person. Among the most vocal is Jill and Hunter. I think they're probably sleeping together, whom the president has long gone to for counsel and advice. Both believe the president shouldn't bow out when he's down, and believe that he can come back from what they see as one subpar performance. He's had 3 years of subpar performance. Do you think it's going to get any better? I don't think it's going to get any better. Biden's campaign has spent the day since the debate with they appear to be raspy, trailed off, and at times gave convoluted answers, working to keep donors and surrogates on board. At this point in the delegate process, Biden would likely have to drop out for there to be a new nominee. And the people he listens to most in the world, his wife and son, you talking about the crackhead, are telling him to stay in. Even before the debate, the age of the 81-year-old Democrat president has been a liability for voters. While the president was huddled with his family, do you not believe that Joe Biden has a problem leading for the next 4 years? Really? He can't even work on a debate without having to sequester himself away and lock himself up. He cannot debate the facts. But yet, Biden right here is going to tell you that he is the best man for the job. That's what you're going to hear about on the news constantly. Because of course he's going to be making appeals to donors. Uh-huh. Biden makes donors appeals to donors concerned persist over his presidential debate performance. And you saw that my YouTube is starting to act a little bit funky. I think I figured out what's causing it. I think there's an update that happens every day at this time, and it's not something I need to change. Pretty sure that's what's been causing all of my problems early in the mornings. President Biden looked to recapture his mojo that he never had, reassured donors Saturday funding that he is fully up to the challenge of beating Donald. Donald beats you so badly that you should just go away. I didn't have a great night, but I'm going to be fighting harder, Biden told attendees. Yeah, like you did corn pop. 81-year-old's troubling performance at the first debate, where he looked completely lost and confused. Biden was taking a phone call by John Meacham, the historian, on his way Saturday, blah, 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 blah. And that's all they talk about. They don't talk about how good Trump's performance was. They talk about how poor Biden's was. That's what they're talking about. The news is not how great Trump looked, how he completely hit Joe Biden with all the facts, dominated the stage, looked completely presidential. No, 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 no. They can't talk about that. They have to say that Joe Biden's going to stay in. He's going to keep fighting because he can come back. Just one bad performance doesn't mean anything. Oh, does this mean anything? Despair in the air. For many voters, the Biden Trump debate means a tough choice just got tougher. How did it get any tougher? There was no tough choice. Maybe there was a tough choice between the political elite of who they were going to back. But oh no, the sound you might have heard after presidential debate was the past week of voters falling between a rock and a hard place. No, the political elite falling between a rock and a hard place. Apart from the sizable and pumped up universe of Donald Trump supporters, sizable. Are you saying that the sizable Trump supporters, there's a lot of them? You mean there might be more than there are of Biden supporters and always have been? The debate suddenly crystallized the worries of many Americans. Really? Then you've been if it crystallized it for most Americans, then they have been living under a rock for the past 4 years. They've been completely blind the past 4 years. He wasn't even prehistoric. He was sad. It was so sad. Good to see you, Mickey D. The debate suddenly crystallized the worries of many Americans that neither man is fit to lead the nation. No, that's not what it showed at all. Heading into the first debate, into the general election campaign, voters had faced a choice between two strikingly unpopular candidates. No, you're telling me in one sentence, you're saying the sizable and pumped up universe of Donald Trump's supporters, and you're saying, well, there's not that many supporters. I mean, you've completely changed it. You're calling Trump an unpopular candidate. No, he's an unpopular candidate amongst the political elite. Anybody with half a brain in their head can look at Trump and go, yeah, I may not like his mean tweets, but let me see the cost of bread, mean tweets. Cost of bread, mean tweets. Cost of gas, mean tweets. Cost of living, mean tweets. What is it, this is a tough decision. The good part about mean tweets is you can always turn that off. You can turn the station. You don't have to listen to them. You can say, I don't care about his mean tweets. Bad part about not having any gas is, well, so goes the price of everything else, as Ballstorm likes to say. It just will continue on and on and on and on and on until people are slapped with the reality that Joe Biden is not a popular president. While Biden struggled mightily to land any point and even get through many sentences, it added to the doubts whether he is fit for 4 more years. Now options are even more dispiriting for everyone. Doesn't care about undecided voters, doesn't care about Republicans. More than a few people came away from watching the debate going, I have a clear choice in November. Oh, no problem. Thank you, Alicia. Outside the Whole Foods, Jesus, in Denver, oh Christ, a registered Democrat. Well, there you go. Right there, you're talking about Whole Foods in downtown Denver by a registered Democrat. I mean, this is almost a meme. And I could almost picture this person in my head too, because he's probably wearing flannel. He probably has the big, huge beard. He probably combs his hair in some sort of what do you call that kind of particular style where it's just like it doesn't match the beard, They try to look manly, but it's too manscaped out. It's like, I mean, there was it reminded me of my first experience with the gay community in California, not hanging out with them, but meeting them. It was very common for all the gay guys to be driving around wearing Daisy Dukes, driving Jeep Wranglers with the doors off. It was like a meme. And this guy is got to be a complete meme. He's got that big bushy beard and just looks as gay as possible. I mean, speaking of as gay as possible.
Excuse me, ladies. Did you hear about the guy with the 5 penises? His pants fit like a glove.
Holy cow, MG.
What's up?
You had to come in whenever I was talking about gay.
I know, God, I was like, seriously.
I'm gonna go vote for Biden, says Tolliner, 49, leaning against the Woods side. Actually, I might not. Yeah, this is so typical. Like,
even if he doesn't, he will be.
Yeah.
They'll make it up.
That's what it looks like these guys are coming to. I mean, because it is just like all these people sitting there going, oh, I'm so worried about Biden. Biden doesn't mean crap. Biden doesn't mean crap in this situation. But being that we have a lawyer here, we're gonna talk about a couple of things here.
Oh no.
One, everyone's all talking about Supreme Court nears its end of another momentous term. A decision on Trump's immunity looms.
Yeah,
what do you think? After
if they follow the Constitution, then they have to. Then he has immunity.
Exactly. And everything that I can gather in this, it sounds to me like they are going to. It's going to be a split decision. You're going to have left-leaning judges go one way, the right-leaning judges go the other.
Well, see, the problem is you got a couple of those. Roberts, you don't know what the hell he's going to do because there are times where he just goes off his damn rocker.
Yes.
And then you got Barrett and Kavanaugh do the same thing sometimes. And just they gave a big victory to the people with the Chevron decision Friday, and I just worry they're going to screw us with something else.
Well, there was some talk about how this is that Chevron decision is going to make it harder for for them to try these January 6 people.
No, there was another decision that came down on the January 6th on the obstruction of an official proceeding case. That's what's going to possibly make it more difficult.
Yeah, I only caught a glimpse of it because they were talking about the Chevron decision, and I was like, I didn't. And you did such a wonderful job explaining that the other night. That was amazing. Or morning, I don't know, days and nights.
Morning, maybe was it Friday morning, early Saturday morning.
Maybe
I don't know. Yeah, it was early Saturday morning, I think. But I wanted to read through the decision, but I just haven't had time to do any of that. Of course, now the news cycle's changed, so.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's exactly what happens. The news cycle changes. Like there was a reason why I locked myself away from the rest of the family and started talking about the debate, and actually did the debate. And that I joke not was spur of the moment. That was like within 15 minutes of because what I was going to do is record it and then go a little bit later on. But I just happened to hear what the people were saying right before the debate and how much they were just sucking on Joe Biden's toes, that I was just like, okay, this is stupid, and I've got to pull this up. And I was listening in the background to the thing that these people were saying, and I'm just going, oh my God, they are so full of themselves. They think that Biden is just going to come across looking presidential. I mean, he was all he has to do is come across looking presidential, and it's a tough road for Donald Trump because of all of his lies, and just watch out for his lies. It's going to be nothing but lies, and he's going to be, Donald Trump, he's going to be mean and cruel to, Joe Biden. He's not going to know when to shut up, and they're going to have to mute this mic and all this kind of crap. And within the first 5 minutes, Biden was a bumbling idiot. And it was just like, yeah, I mean, I knew that was going to happen. I just could feel it in my bones. I was like, I have got to cover this, because this is just, oh, I mean, just the memes out of all that was the most glorious thing. Yeah. So
and they had him like sequestered away for 5 or 6 days to pump him full of all kinds of meds and drugs and stuff.
And this was pre-recorded.
Oh
yeah. Everyone thinks this was live. No, this was pre-recorded earlier in the day. They had at least 4 hours that they knew that this was going to happen.
That's how they all had their stories ready. They had their stories ready to go. They had their talking points. They all parrot the same couple of phrases. When these things happen, it's amazing how they all think of the same words to say, exactly in the same order.
And then the guy that came out right after that debate just freaking rocked it. I mean, it was, of course, he did have to back off a little bit, but right after that debate, what he said coming out of that, oh my God. I watched that, and I watched it again, and I watched it again, because I was like, this is not good for them. It was so bad, because I pull, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Stop screen, present, share screen. This right here was them beforehand, right here.
I mean, he did during the State of the Union when there were protesters on the floor of the House of Representatives, and you saw him do it in the debate with Chris Wallace. I mean, we wouldn't have come away with that thinking that it was a train wreck for Trump if Biden hadn't also been there and kind of demonstrated that he wasn't being run over by the guy, but instead presenting a potentially more presidential concept. So
that was their talk beforehand. That was their discussion beforehand. This is their discussion leading all the way up into going into the debate. And of course, they go live with their debate, and the first thing that happens right after is
inside both
glorious.
campaigns with me here, CNN political commentator Scott Jennings, Kate Bedingfield, David Urban, Van
This
Jones, Melissa
right
Griffin,
here
and Newsnight anchor Abby
made
Phillip,
me
and David
laugh
Axelrod, and
so
CNN
hard.
chief national correspondent John King. John, let me start with you. Your thoughts?
Anderson, this was a game-changing debate in the sense that right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategists, it involves elected officials, it involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket. And they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those
It's the best
conversations
thing for the country.
go to the White House and ask the president to step aside.
Yes.
Others are
Keep him in.
conversations are about
Yep.
should prominent
Keep 'em
Democrats
in.
go public with that call because they feel this debate was so terrible. They do say in moments in the debate later, the president got better and got his footing, but then at the end, even his closing statement was a little halting.
Never did he get any better. Never did he get any better. He had, it was, and this is what Trump called out on him whenever he said, I have no idea what he just said, what he's talking about.
And I don't think he does either.
He's
He's like, I have no idea what he just said there at the end, and I don't think he does either.
No, and Biden just sort of like,
Yeah, I mean, and that's after a week of being, 5-6 days of being away from everybody.
yes. Well, and I said this that night that I believe that Trump came off looking very presidential, very gracious because he was answering questions, that Biden was saying things that made no sense, but Trump, I guess, could read between the lines and realized this guy is not all there. I'm not going to destroy him because then it's going to look like I'm being abusive to him. I'm just going to finish out whatever it was that he was rambling about and try to make sense of it, like the newscasters do for him whenever he's rambling about something like
Exactly.
I do. I mean, maybe I have dementia. And
We're saying, let's go,
one point. It was at one point though that whenever Trump did that, I have no idea what he said. I think he had just grown tired of faking it. Like, listen, it is clear this guy has no idea what the hell is going on. It has gotten worse and worse progressively through this debate that he just called him out on it and was just like, I cannot believe you guys still have this guy up here. He is clearly not fit to lead the country. Let me tell you what does it
tell all of our enemies around the world?
Yes. And that's what I said.
Right.
His performance was not just about the Biden's performance to the voter. It was his performance to the rest of the world. What it shows the rest of the world how this guy is. And that should scare people. That should scare people more than anything.
Well, I mean, I think we all know that he's really not the president. He's not the one calling the shots and doing anything. This is a third term for Obama and his ilk, and that's what it has been from day one.
Well, and here's what they keep saying right here. Donald Trump is immune from prosecution for his role in January 6th. That's not what this is about. This decision that they're getting, the Supreme Court is getting ready to come out. And this is what pisses me off about the AP. What they're talking about is those documents that the FBI raided his house and changed, that he is immune from anything out of those. If I'm not mistaken, that's what that whole immunity.
It's all of it. It's all of it. Any of those things that happened while he was president, the proper mechanism for going after him is through impeachment. And if he's convicted in the Senate, then they can go after him criminally once he's removed from office for because it's been determined to be either treason or other high crimes or misdemeanors, felonies, misdemeanors. So if he's acquitted in the Senate, then it doesn't rise to that level. So he can't be charged criminally for those things.
And in other epic court cases, including Watergate, that was completely different. And That was completely different.
That was a setup too.
Yeah. Even this term, the court reached a decision less than a month to rule unanimously for Trump that states cannot invoke post-Civil War insurrection clause to kick him off the ballot over his refusal to accept Joe
You can't
Biden's
keep him
victory.
off the ballot.
Yes.
You can't impose additional qualifications to be president other than what's in
The
Article 2.
Constitution. Delaying the start of trials has been a primary goal of Trump's lawyers. Yeah, why not? I mean, I see nothing wrong with that. Why should we be rushed to judgment? I mean, Sarah Boone's gone for what, 4 years now in delaying.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll be hitting over 5 years by the time that she even gets it in front of a court or a jury. Supreme Court's handling of the immunity case, which began when justices rejected a first plea to take it up in December, have led critics to say the court has so far granted Trump immunity by delay. Well, screw you, critics.
Well, no.
That's life.
But yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, they kicked it down to lower courts, and lower courts kicked it back up again because they couldn't make a proper decision. But it's a Trump case, and so the lineup is less of a surprise and more of a disappointment, Roosevelt said. Increasingly, it looks as though a majority of this court is willing to bend the normal rules. No, they have not bent any rules.
I say if they go after, if they allow him to be, they do not give him immunity, then Obama needs to be criminally prosecuted for a damn drone attack on an American citizen without due process of law. As he go for after his ass for murder.
Yeah.
Biden, with all the shit he's done in and out of office over the years.
Hell, just as dealings with Ukraine, with Ukraine would
Burisma and his son, he admitted in a freaking Senate committee hearing that to withholding funding from Ukraine unless they removed the prosecutor who was investigating his son's business.
Yeah. It's not any good. The court is weighing in on Texas efforts in Texas and Florida would limit how Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube, and other social media platforms regulate content by posting their users. What? Regulate
posting.
That already got
the section. It's got to be the Section 230 case.
But that's already been decided. They already came back and said no. The FBI can completely.
No, I think that's a different case.
Okay, because that one they said that the FBI and the government can completely come in anytime they want to, and tell the social media companies what they can or cannot say. They've already come out and said that. Supreme Court decided that. Yeah. You can think.
Well, I think what they dismissed it on standing grounds, meaning that those who brought the case and those who did not have standing to do so. Probably are thinking that it's the companies themselves who should have sued the government for it, and not the content creators. And I think it's bullshit because they're ultimately the ones suffering from it.
I think that whenever if a single social media platform takes away your ability to say whatever the hell you want to.
They have become a publisher, and they no longer have protections under Section 230. Once they become a publisher, then they are bound by all the rules everybody else is, as New York Times or anybody else. So if you're picking and choosing, it's one thing.
Yeah. New York Times is so full of garbage right now. You can't even believe half the stuff that comes out of there. I mean, same way with what you see with AP, and AP is making a move towards getting more. And
AP is the damn one of the wire agencies. So
yeah, and it is one of those where this isn't going to get easier. And Ballstorm pointed this out. He said, "Oh, you think that you saw something wonderful and glorious on Thursday with a debate, watching the president completely flub up. The attacks are going to get worse. People getting shut down is going to get worse.
Oh yeah.
Getting people quieted is going to get worse. I would not be surprised if before November that they don't remove my channel, or at least give me some sort of strike.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. They will change some rule that's going to make it impossible for me to continue on YouTube. But that's okay, because I'll still do it on Rumble. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's why I put it out on Rumble, on Twitter, on Twitch, on your X or whatever the hell they call it now. You know. And because I'm going to continue doing this regardless. I'm going to continue saying the same things that I've been saying forever. But this one is beautiful right here. Should gun store sales get special credit card tracking? This is what they're doing in California. They're tracking credit cards to people that purchase firearms in the state of California. But guess what? A few states, Georgia, Iowa, Tennessee, and Wyoming, have banned that specific use
Bullshit.
of those
None of
codes.
your damn business where I spend my money. It's not illegal to purchase a weapon.
But in California, they have special retail codes that are assigned to stores to track their sales of firearms.
Get the fuck out of California, people.
And of course, this is one of the nation's newest gun policy debates. There should not, the only gun policy that there should be is your Second Amendment. That's it.
So what kind do you want to use?
That is it.
What are you most comfortable using? Go get it.
Exactly. You do
get as many of them as you can.
Well, yeah, and see, here's the thing though with YouTube, and this is why I suggest people, if you like what I'm doing, subscribe to me on all the other platforms. Get on the other platforms, and because that this is one of the things I talk about. This is not everything that I talk about. And it's in the YouTube universe, a little inside thing. They don't want you being what do they call that? Variety. They don't want you to have variety. They want you to stick with one particular subject and just do that. They don't like the variety. They say that it doesn't help your followers. You have to stick to one thing or things that are adjacent to it. Me, I like doing a bunch of different things because I find enjoyment in it. And of course, I'm not going to get the 100 million followers or whatever the hell it is that, the big creators make or whatever. I don't care. I do what I enjoy doing. And same way that MG does. Well, of course, he is more adjacent to things than me. Yeah, Tennessee just passed a bill blocking the violation of privacy with credit card transactions. Exactly. Oh, I love it that they're doing this. Oh, those are some beautiful pieces right there. I don't know about Maxon. Never heard of Maxon. It must be some cheap off-brand. They look pretty, but I've never heard of them. Maxon. Okay, it's Maxon Shooter Supplies. That's what it is, because that's that's a
store.
Kurth Firearms, a Nighthawk Custom Firehawk. I never heard of that. Colt 1911. There you go. That's a classic. But look at the price of that. Good Lord. $2,600 for a
1911.
Yeah.
Jeez. That has to be in California.
It must be. No, that is it. Maxon. No, it's in Illinois.
Okay, well, make them there too.
Yeah.
It's just they're about as bad as California. So,
by contrast, Democrat-led New Mexico this year tightened laws for people who don't have concealed carry permits, requiring a 7-day waiting period. Blah blah.
Constitution
blah, blah.
doesn't require it.
Nope. It is so crazy that intent on gun merchant code is to spot suspicious patterns, like a person with
Bullshit.
little history of gun purchase who suddenly
It's
spends
essentially
large
a
amounts.
registry
Yeah.
without there being a registry because a registry is not allowed.
Nighthawk is expensive and worth it. Okay. I mean, the Nighthawk was cheaper than the 1911 from what I could see here. Oh no, it was double the price. It was five grand.
Jeez.
$5,000. Wow. I don't know. I lost all my guns during a boating accident during a snowstorm and a tornado and hurricane. It was horrible.
Yes.
Every single one of them. They're at the bottom of an undisclosed lake. If I told you the lake, it would tell you where I was at. Georgia. Visa, the largest payment network, recently updated its merchant data manual to add the firearms code to comply with California's law.
It shouldn't be allowed.
I guess
If you want to know what I bought, get a fucking warrant.
Yeah.
And then subpoena the documents to a court case, get a warrant.
Exactly. The man with the golden gum. What is your Rumble name? It's Shizzy Wiznut. Straightforward Shizzy Wiznut. You can look in my in the description on my homepage, and it has all my links to everything, all my social media. I think it even has my OnlyFans in there too. I don't think I've posted anything to OnlyFans yet. I need to.
OnlyFans. That's all.
Yeah, it's OnlyFans. But yeah, it's Iowa State Senator Jason Schultz, Republican sponsor of legislation banning the firearms code, said he feared federal agents could gain access to data about gun store purchases from financial institutions, then use that as justification to raid gun owners' homes and infringe on their Second Amendment rights. States are going to have to make a choice whether they want to follow California.
Not just the feds, it'd be the states too.
Yeah, states, feds, everybody. And this is not looking good. This is not looking good. And this is why. Because now the U.S. Surgeon General declares gun violence as a public health crisis.
Holy shit. Of course, they're saying that's something that it's bullshit. They don't have any data to back it up.
Now, doesn't the Chevron rule have something to say about this?
And I don't. Now, if they start just promulgating rules and shit out of it, yeah. But just to make a declaration of a crisis, I doubt it.
I don't know. Surgeon General on Tuesday declared gun violence is a public health crisis driven by the fast-growing number of injuries and deaths involving firearms in the country. Not as many as are caused by car accidents.
Or knives, scissors, any number of things.
Cancer. I mean, let's talk about all the things that cause death. Okay. It was no different than this report that came out that said that Biden kept touting, saying, well, violent crimes have only risen 4%, but you don't have the major cities. Well, like five major cities are not reporting. You have New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami. They are not reporting the crime rates in those states.
And they're not reporting correct demographics either.
Yes.
So they got a lot of people listed as white who are not.
Yeah.
They look nothing like Baker and Nick Storm.
No.
They're not Caucasian at all. They're not white.
No. The advisory issued by Vivek Murthy, the nation's top doctor, came as the U.S. grappled with another summer weekend marked by mass shootings. You know what they consider a mass shooting? Anything over 4. And
they changed it. I think they lowered it to they keep lowering it.
No, over 4, not including. No, it's over 4, not including the shooter.
Yeah, I would say they've started including those with the shoot. They've changed. They keep changing it so that they can keep their narrative going.
Gotcha.
Because it used to be like you had to actually have casualties. Then it was like anybody injured, and then they lowered the number and half the time they include the shooter in it.
America should be a place where all of us can go to school, go to work, go to supermarket, go to our house of worship without having to worry that that's going to put our life at risk. But because it does, is why you should be strapped. Because if you are at risk walking through your neighborhood, then you should be strapped. If you are at risk going to a grocery store to buy some food, then you should be strapped. If you are at risk of being in a church, there's actually a Greek synagogue, not a Greek synagogue, but a Jewish synagogue that every time they hold services, they have snipers on the roof of the building. I'm not
They have
joking.
rooftop Koreans also.
No, these are rooftop Jews.
No,
They are not playing.
That's their version. It's their version of rooftop Koreans.
Yeah, pretty much. And I thought it was a joke until I talked to one of the people that's where he goes to, do his services. And Jewish services are different than Protestant and Catholic and all that stuff. They're just different times and different things. But they consider those holy days, and these are people that do not, because it's more orthodox. They walk church. They're not allowed to operate a vehicle.
Yeah,
things of that sort. So they are left open to being hurt, and they have people watching over them to make sure that they're safe. And that right there tells you a little bit of something. If you're that worried about it, then why are you not strapped going constantly? Anywhere that you go, if you're not strapped.
Well, that and we don't actually clean up, or clean up your damn neighborhood.
That is a wonderful idea.
Shit happens, they'll say, I didn't see nothing. I didn't do nothing, didn't see nothing. Put these people away.
Yeah, none of these people are helping out because they don't want, oh, he's a good boy. No, you're covering for him.
Oh, he's such a good boy. He's such a good boy.
Yeah, he's such a good boy that he robbed Aunt Bethel down the street and put her in the hospital. That's how good of a boy he was. Well, he's just going through a rough patch right now, and we need more of our men to be good role models. No, you need more role models to be good men. How's that? None of these suggestions can be implemented nationwide without legislation passed by Congress, which typically recoils at taking away Second Amendment rights. Some state legislatures, however, have been enacted. Yeah, exactly. Have enacted or may consider some of the Surgeon General's proposals. Well, what are his proposals? That gun violence is a problem. No, there is not a broad agreement. Signing a poll last year, that's a poll. A poll should not be.
It's not evidence at all.
As being evidence. There is not an agreement. There is a broad agreement amongst the politically elite because they
don't want an armed populace.
They do not want an armed populace. The excuse of the world, every excuse in the world for bad behavior. Exactly correctly. Family physicians have long understood what is a family physician? You know what a family physician should be concerned about? Should be concerned about my hangnail. It should be concerned about the cancer that's eating up little Jimmy. It should be concerned about the pregnancy of my teenage daughter. They should be concerned with making sure that my family is eating healthy. They should be concerned with those kind of things.
Your kid getting strep throat or shit like that.
Tell me how it's a family doctor's concern of how many firearms are in my home. Absolutely none.
And the moment my kid's pediatrician starts asking that, I'm finding another pediatrician.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a little visit from somebody late at night, wanting to have a nice gentle conversation. Sorry. This just pisses me off that the impact of firearm violence has on their patients. No, it has nothing to do with it. Now, trauma unit might, but a family doctor, that matters nothing to them. Murthy's advisory, however, promises be controversial. No, it is full of crap. It's not controversial. There is no controversy here. You're making it controversial. It is not controversial. Second Amendment is Second Amendment.
Well, and they skew their statistics to try to claim that kids are such risk, and they include 18 and 19-year-olds in their child statistics.
Yeah.
And omit like 0 to 1-year-olds.
Yes. Yes.
So they include people who are not kids, who are adults, in their child statistics.
Well, unless they're talking about chopping off parts, then it's all about the teens. You know, and that was my story earlier, talking about that. It's like, this should be the parents should have that right to choose. What? Choose what? They're not giving it that decision. They're told how they're going to be, or they're going to be ostracized by the gay community. And it's the people that can't have kids that are lobbying for it. Can't or don't or won't. Just if you like I said, you think it's getting bad, just wait. Just wait. It is going to get worse. Social media has contributed to a mental health crisis. See, they will consider owning a firearm mental health crisis. Yet whenever somebody's chopping off parts of their body, they'll say, "Oh, they just need love and support."
A true mental disorder. They don't worry about that. They force it.
See, they have this crap. He's also faced mounting pressure from some doctors and Democratic advocacy groups to speak out more. A group of former surgeon generals asked Biden administration to produce a report on the problem. It's not a problem.
It's not because it's not a problem.
The only problem.
Where it's a problem is in the large Democrat-run cities. That's where it's a problem.
Oh, they're going to compare it to smoking half a century ago. That's what they're comparing it to.
I have a problem with all the damn smoking bans, and I don't smoke.
It says children and young Americans in particular, and here's where we get into what our man was talking about. He was saying that yes.
You know, I was just sitting here minding my own business, and then you got on this topic, and I was like, damn it, Shizzy sent me a link.
I told you it was that I was going to go off today. Like, there is so much crap today. It was like someone opened up a fire hose. I'm only halfway through the shit that
I'm sure.
It is it was a fire hose this morning. I opened it up, and it was just like
all over your face,
dude. They're having to cover up for that disaster at the debate anyway. But talking about the whole thing about your physician asking whether or not you own firearms, or asking your children whether or not your parents own firearms. I knew back when they passed Obamacare that
that's what was coming.
Right. The best way for the government to get their hands in everything is to be able to control healthcare.
Oh yeah.
Because from there on out, anything can be a public
absolutely
safety risk.
Everything you do.
Yes.
Affects your health. Everything you do.
Yes.
Yes.
So they could say, well, this is a public safety risk, and therefore, you need to ask these questions. You need to dig into these backgrounds, and they can, from the food we eat to being able to defend ourselves to pretty much any aspect in America, they can get their hands on it now.
Everything you do while you're alive affects your health. So
yeah. And if my doctor was ever dumb enough to ask me that question, I'd be like, it's not your damn business. And don't
Exactly.
ask my kid that either.
Whether I have them or I don't have them,
Right.
it's
Not
none
the
of their
point.
business.
It's none of your
Yeah,
damn
why do I
business.
want to let them know that I don't have any, and then I'll somebody gets a hold of those records because that shit's all digital and gets hacked all the time.
Exactly. And in case anybody doesn't know, anything that's tied into the internet can be hacked.
Yes.
Anything. I have to
Yes,
tell
yes.
people this all the time. I'm like, look, this is connected to the internet. Somebody can get to it.
Yep.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
Because here's where they go into exactly what you were talking about. Children, younger Americans in particular, are suffering from gun violence.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
There's a Murthy notes in his advisory called Firearm Violence, Public Health Crisis in America. Suicide by gun rates have increased nearly 70% for those between the ages of 10 to 14. Children in the U.S. are far more likely to die from gun wounds than children in other countries.
Bullshit.
No.
Bullshit.
You know what they don't highlight?
No, they just
in
get stabbed in other countries.
You know what they don't highlight in the gun statistics in America? Gang violence, which is a lot of your youth.
No.
It's gang violence.
No.
It's not.
There's no violence in youth. There's
It's
no
not
gang.
Billy the suburbanite dad who happens to have a firearm in his house. That's not what it is. It's gang violence.
Yep.
Yeah, just like this. We had guns behind every door growing up. We never missed them.
They used to
That's
teach
what
it in school. They used to
Yeah.
teach firearm safety in school.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had rifle
Yes.
teams.
That was
I recall
Yes.
one's dad was a rifle instructor, rifle team instructor.
Yeah.
Died
he went through a bad cell zone.
He's in a bad cell zone.
Yeah.
I understand the feeling.
Well, and see, so here it is. For pediatricians, talking with families about locking up their guns away from their children has become a routine part of well visits. No, that should never ever become part of a visit.
Well,
If
first
that
of
is
all,
part of a visit, then what the hell is this pediatrician doing?
right. First of all, I feel like that's a violation of privacy. Second
It
of
is.
all, if you're a
Absolutely.
responsible gun owner and you have kids in the home who are not made aware of gun safety, all that stuff should be locked up anyway.
Well, and here they're saying having access to a firearm for a child who has experienced a behavioral health crisis. You mean like wanting to chop off parts of their body
Yeah.
that you want to deny? That you
Right.
want to deny that the parents are doing this? And I guarantee you, those parents that have children that are having these behavioral issues, they probably don't have firearms in the house anyway.
Yeah. Well, and the ones that are wanting to push that on their kids anyway are just virtue signaling. The kid has no idea. The kid doesn't care. They're trying to play with Legos, man.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We had the littles here, but of course they're hands on everything. And
Of course.
I also don't want to deal with the moms. So, as sweet as she is, she freaks out about firearms. That's just her.
Right.
And so out of respect and knowing that I don't want to have to deal with that stuff, I lock everything away into the safe.
Of course.
The stuff that didn't fall in the water, the air gun, that kind of
Yeah.
because I don't want to
Oh,
have
kids
a child,
have fun with that.
Yeah, I bet they would.
No, the shizzy.
This thing won't just like injure your eye. It'll like go through every part. It's powerful.
Oh, the squirrels love that thing.
Yes,
yeah.
they do. They love to kiss that thing so much, but and this is even when children are not direct victims, they may suffer from mental health blowback of gun violence. No,
Yeah.
it's violence. They suffer from blowback of violence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what it is they've got a sibling who's the victim of gang activity.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure they are upset.
Oh, they changed it. It said the headline for the story was corrected to reflect that the Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, had declared gun violence as a public health crisis rather than a public health emergency. That's what they called it to start out with, was a public
Yeah,
health.
well, that sensationalized it even more.
Yes.
Initially.
Yes. Imagine that.
Well, and then of course, what does AP follow this story up with? Family demands accountability for New York police of killing a 13-year-old boy. Said he aimed a BB gun.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Have you ever?
He aimed a fucking BB gun. Sorry,
Well,
fuck around, find out.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Have you seen what BB guns look like?
They look like guns.
In the heat of a moment, when your adrenaline's pumping, a cop is not going to be able to tell a BB gun from a real one.
Nope.
The way they're made now, they're almost identical.
Yes.
Yep. And you have to look at them up close, not just from a distance of 20, 30 feet.
Right.
And because of certain firearms, and I call them firearms, called airsoft, they require that you have a red tip on it to differentiate that that's exactly what it is, because they look so damn real. Like you can't tell that it's an airsoft machine gun that some guy has, and next thing you know, they're getting popped. So they said, no, we want to make sure that we don't get people.
But even then,
hurt because of this,
people paint over them.
Yes.
And who's to say somebody won't paint the tip of a real gun orange?
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine who was at one of those do-it-yourself car washes, who was held up by somebody that had a BB gun that looked like a real gun. Now, luckily, he was able to beat the crap out of the kid. It was a kid, and of course went to court and everything. But he was like, I didn't know it wasn't real.
Yeah. How am I supposed to know? Somebody's sticking a pistol or rifle in my face. How am I supposed to know? I'm looking at the barrel of something, and I'm going to defend myself.
Right.
And then, of course, we have this one here. This one is so bad. How charges against two Uvalde school police officers are still leaving some families frustrated. Austin, Texas. 2 indictments for Uvalde, Texas schools police officers are the first charges brought against law enforcement for the botched response that saw hundreds of officers wait for more than 90 minutes, not an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, the Uvalde
90
case.
minutes
Okay.
to confront an 18-year-old gunman who killed 14 fourth grade students.
Right.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. What happened in Tennessee? Why are you not talking about that? And how many officers are being
They're not going to talk about that one.
with that? How many officers are being charged with that?
No, because they went in Tennessee.
Right.
Do you
They
see
handle
my point?
business in Tennessee.
Well,
Do
they
you get my
went
point?
in, but that manifesto is still being suppressed.
Oh, yeah.
And as more and
yeah.
more information is coming out, it's being suppressed by the higher ups.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it is.
Because
there's a political agenda to keeping that suppressed.
Exactly.
Because if you want to talk about somebody with mental health issues, that is somebody that had mental health issues.
Every one of them.
Yep. Oh, and that person was clearly had mental health issues.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even. I mean, it's well documented how unstable that person was.
Yeah, this right here, gunman stormed in May 24th, 2022 in 2 classrooms, did all the deleting. More than 370 officers waited. Oh, more than 70 minutes, 90 minutes. It wasn't more than 70 minutes. Yes, it was more than 70 minutes. It was 90 minutes that they waited as there were screams of children, of adults, and they waited and they waited. And they waited. It doesn't matter what kind of firearm they had. They could have gone in there with a knife as long as these people waited.
Yeah, the type of firearm used wasn't
Irrelevant.
the issue. It was the fact that I mean, we've all seen the video footage of how long they just sat there in the hallway and did nothing.
Yep.
They wouldn't grab a Coke.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, we were afraid that you compare that to what they did in Tennessee. Oh my God.
That dude just went in there and took care of business.
Yep.
And he had backup behind him the whole time, clearing each and every single room, working his way through, and you saw the movement and the precise movements that they moved. The way that they moved was absolute textbook perfection.
Yep. And
it was just
and
on
the
top
perp
of it.
had three firearms on him.
Yeah.
3.
Yep.
The lawsuits, the families are pursuing accountability from authorities. Good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Because you know what will happen is they're gonna go after the parents. That's who they're gonna go after, the parents of this person. Isn't this the one where the parents are in jail for this?
Are they?
No, that's the one up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's where they're going to go after next. They're going to go after the parents on this. They already set precedent on this.
Yeah.
You're going after the parents for something that the child did.
Right.
This is the state of affairs that we're at, where you're going to. So they're going after a gun maker, Daniel Defense.
Good luck.
They're
starting to set precedent with that shit too.
Well, but it's on a state.
They've been going after
basis.
suing. Yeah, but suing them, it's drains their resources.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and, you know,
We'll just bankrupt them with litigation.
Right.
Well, and you know what happens whenever they take away the all the firearms and you don't have any firearms. This right here is what happens. Female suicide bomber kills at least 18 in coordinated attack in Nigeria. Female suicide bombers targeted a wedding, a funeral, and a hospital in coordinated attacks in northern Nigeria that killed at least 18 people. No one immediately claimed responsibility for the attacks, of course. Now, that's pretty hard to whenever you're like scattered in a million pieces, prompting suspicions that some attackers come from the many thousands of people the militants have kidnapped over the years, including school children. Like I said, take away your firearms and this kind of thing happens.
Oh,
this is what happens to your country. This is where it devolves to.
You're not going to stop evil from doing evil things.
Nope.
If you, especially
you just
if
have to be
you
able to.
have good people, right? If you have good people that are not able to stand up to them, it doesn't matter. You can,
the criminals aren't going to follow the law.
Right. Exactly. And that's the whole point. All you're doing with all these laws is making it harder on law-abiding citizens to be able to protect themselves and the people they love. That's all you're doing.
Just like this story says, 276 schoolgirls were abducted in 2014. 276, not children, just schoolgirls were abducted in 2014. Nearly 100 of those are still in captivity. Since then, 1,500 students have been kidnapped across Nigeria as armed groups find a place to practice a lucrative way to fund their criminal activities and take control of villages. If you take away our firearms, this is what it devolves to.
But the government will have absolute unfettered power to do what they want.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the point, is you look throughout history at dictators, what's one of the first things they love to do? And
they have to take away your guns.
They have to take away the ability to defend yourself. I mean, that was one of the first things that happened in Germany, was they took away the ability to defend themselves. You had to be a part of the government.
Soviet Union and in China.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Everywhere.
Because you can't control a population that can defend itself.
Nope. You cannot. And I will lay this again for all of you fine people that missed it the first time.
Democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule, period. End of discussion. Now, that's not very complicated. Majority rule, easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and I might add, deadly. For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule. There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now that's pure democracy in action. But wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based on the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
And that's all I have to say.
Pretty straightforward.
It is.
And then you
so
spend the
hard
next 240 years dismantling it piece by piece. Because the words on the paper don't really mean what the words on the paper say. They don't really mean that. They didn't mean that.
No.
Well, I blame lawyers for that, MG.
They didn't really mean Congress shall make no law or shall not be infringed. That doesn't mean anything.
Right. And the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible and with liberty and justice for all. And we've strayed so far away from that because today in history, July 1st, Dominion of Canada is formed. Today in history, in 1867, Canada became a self-governing dominion of Great Britain. You're still under the Queen's rule. As the British North American Act took effect, called Dominion Day until 1982, the national holiday is now known as Canada Day. So basically, you became self-governing, ruled by England. Good job, Canada.
Way to go.
Explains so much.
Also on this date, in 1863, a three-day Civil War battle of Gettysburg resulted in Union victory began in Pennsylvania. In 1903, the first Tour de France began. It ended on July 19th. The winner was Maurice Garin. In 1944, delegates from 44 countries began meeting in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, where they agreed to establish the International Monetary Fund, which is now known as the World Bank.
Yeah, been all downhill since, just before then, but.
Mm-hmm. In 1963, the U.S. Post Office inaugurated its 5-digit zip codes. Up until that point, they didn't have that. In 1973, the DEA was established.
Boo.
In 1984, the first movie rated PG-13, and guess what it was called?
Yes.
Red Dawn.
Love
Starring
that
Patrick
movie.
Swayze debuted. First PG-13 was Red
Well, that was
Dawn.
brought about because of Gremlins.
So this is one that White Rabbit needs for tomorrow right here.
Oh, I guarantee it's on there.
Oh, yeah. The president, George H.W. Bush, was not nominated Federal Appeals Court Justice Clarence Thomas to the Supreme Court, beginning the absolute destruction of all that is sacred, starring Joe Biden. Joe Biden was leading the charge on going after Clarence Thomas, accusing him of having extramarital affairs with a woman that he was not married to, sexual harassment abuse, and Clarence Thomas suffered under the questioning. You thought that Kavanaugh was bad? Just go back and watch what happened to Clarence Thomas.
It literally was a lynching.
It was.
It's essentially what it was. It was a public lynching.
They couldn't go after him. Well, they went after him because of a few things. One, he was black, and
how dare he?
They did not like the fact that a black man was coming in there married to a white woman. Oh my God, this goes
And
against
not just that,
everything.
and being conservative, upholding the Constitution as written.
Yes.
Dude, next to Alito, he's my favorite Supreme Court justice.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
And
after they murdered Scalia, because Scalia was great.
Scalia.
Scalia and Thomas were great. They murdered him, and Thomas is there. I mean, and Thomas started speaking out more. He didn't have to, but Alito when Scalia was around.
Yeah.
But he's been speaking a lot more the last few years.
Yep.
And they're still attacking him. They're still attacking him.
Oh yeah, they hate it because he's a black man that actually can think for himself.
Exactly. In 1997,
Well, I mean, too many of them just fall into the brainwashing of the left. They have yet to leave the Democrat plantation.
Yes.
Yeah.
He dared to do it, and they've been trying to destroy him ever since.
In 1997, which was just 6 years later, Hong Kong reverted back to Chinese rule after 156 years of being a British colony.
Yeah, way to go, England.
Good
In
job.
2004, actor Marlon Brando died at the age of 80. Rest in peace.
So
Marlon.
is there still a NAMBLA for the
I guess so. In 2015, after
Marlon
more than
Brando lookalikes?
Yeah.
in 2015, after more than half a century of hostility, which there wasn't, the United States and Cuba declared that they would reopen embassies in each other's capitals, marking historic full restoration of diplomatic relations. Not true. I mean, they did open
that
it,
aged
but
well.
There is not
Yeah.
good diplomatic relations between those two countries.
No, there's not.
In 2018, LeBron James announced he'd be signing with the Los Angeles Lakers, leaving Cleveland for the second time in his career. In 2019, a 15-year-old Coco Gauff, the youngest player to qualify at Wimbledon in a professional era, defeated 39-year-old Venus Williams in the first round.
Yeah, I remember
Go,
that.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Coco, go. And I'm not clicking on to see who was born on July 1st because I really don't care. But here's also more today in history. 1982, ERA expires. Equal Rights Amendment expired in 1982. Well, that was on June 30th. The Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution expired, having failed to receive the required number of ratifications for its adoption, despite having a 7-year deadline to extend by 3 years. A lot of people don't know that.
I did not know that.
But
Well, they couldn't get it ratified. So
I do have something else that a lot of people don't
equal
know.
rights and equal lefts.
I do have something else that people don't know. This one right here.
And what do you say to former President Trump, who blamed January 6th and says you didn't take his offer for the National Guard?
He thinks I planned my own assassination. He's sick of
1 minute later.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural that would we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
That's your fault.
They thought that they had.
Well, that's your fault there, Nancy.
They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
See, and that's the most surprising part of that clip is watching a Democrat take responsibility.
Well, she wouldn't take responsibility in front of other people.
Well, no.
Of course not.
Because, you think I would call for my own assassination? Oh my gosh.
Dude, you know she freaked out when that came out.
Oh, God. You know she did.
She was never in any danger. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
She knew that because they all planned it. They knew what was going on.
Yep.
And they intentionally didn't have National Guard there.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and do you think it's going to be any different during the next one?
Oh, no.
Do you think it's going to be any different? See, people tend to, and I've showed it before. what it looked like in 2016 whenever Trump became the president. They went into the Capitol.
Yes.
They lost their ever-loving minds.
Yes.
They flipped cars. They burned buildings. People were injured, shot. There was damage, massive amounts of damage. So this
And all these cities were expecting it again because they knew that.
Well,
and they didn't. They didn't have enough backup. You know why? Because they thought, oh, well, they're Trump supporters. These are the people that are peaceful. We don't have to worry about them.
No. And they'll clean up after themselves, too.
Yeah.
Well, two things. First, if Trump does get reelected, you know that they're going to be like, well, they did all this on January 6th. Well, we're going to do it too, except it's going to be worse.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be in every city.
Number two, do you remember back when George W. Bush first got into office? What did all the staffers from Clinton do? They took the W's off the keyboard.
Took the W's off the keyboard. Yeah.
I thought that was so childish.
Yeah.
It is, but it's funny.
It's typical.
Oh, it is funny.
I mean, come on. That's pretty funny. But that's low level. That's low level protest. I love it. I mean, come on.
No.
It's just like, oh, that's so beautiful. Not as beautiful as this guy. This is almost 4 minutes of the most beautiful thing that you are going to see today. I'm telling you right now, you are going to love this.
Okay, so now that you're done jerking each other off with a bunch of trophies and participation certificates, here's the truth. You guys don't care about the disabled kids because my disabled son was deaf. You put him in with a bunch of disruptive kids. Okay, bad kids at Besser Elementary. There was no sign language interpreter, no instruction for sign language. We applied to Maryland School for the Deaf. He was accepted in December. He was supposed to be transferred in January. Dr. Annette Walters refused to sign the Board of Education form to transfer him to Maryland School for the Deaf. January, February, March, April, mid-April, I came in screaming about civil rights lawsuits and everything else, and then they immediately processed a transfer in May. 5 months late, he was transferred to a place where they could teach him sign language, where he was around other deaf and disabled children with similar abilities as him, so that he could have a normal life and actually communicate with kids and not get into fights every single day. He came home crying from Besser Elementary School every single day he went there because he got into fights with kids who didn't understand him because he was deaf. He couldn't talk. He couldn't sign. He didn't know anything. We were doing the best that we could, but you guys left him there. No child left behind. You people sit up here, waste millions of dollars, hire people with fake names like this Steve Edwards guy who's using a stage name to conduct official business, which in the state of Maryland, if he's signing contracts and legal documents, I believe is the crime of uttering, which is a felony. But you decide to leave my disabled son in with a bunch of bad kids at Besser Elementary to get his kicked on a daily basis because you didn't want to give up the funding you get from state, federal, and local. Okay, you didn't want to give up money, so you didn't allow him to get transferred until I came in and went psychotic in your lobby. And then you did. So everything that over there said about how great you are caring about the kids is an absolute lie, Ms. Williams. You should step down. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. I already know about you. You're a civil rights violator. You've been sued repeatedly. You're a disgrace, and you're a disgrace.
Mr. Porter.
You will not interrupt my time, ma'am. I have a First Amendment right to tell you my opinions. This is the right to redress of grievances in your face, Ms. Williams.
We appreciate your participation in the meeting, and while I encourage you to address the Board of Education,
You're stealing my time.
I will give you time.
You worthless fucking
Okay.
You tortured your disabled son, and you will answer for it in a court of law.
I recommend that we go into closed session.
I'm not at 5 minutes, lady.
To obtain legal advice pursuant to the general provisions article of the Annotated Code of Maryland.
You're silencing my free speech during my. I signed up 2 weeks ago to talk, and you're silencing my free speech.
Motion, please, and a second. So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Is there a second?
You guys are going to silence.
Then they're going to go to an illegal closed session.
What I'm saying, that's viewpoint discrimination.
Porter, while I
well, do they have sunshine laws in that state?
No, you don't.
Would you please refrain from using profanity in your comments?
First Amendment, freedom of speech, that's my opinion of your job. You're doing a shitty job. You're an awful god You're a very
education
disrespectful person to that lady today.
environment.
And a week ago to Daryl Evans, I watched you condescend a fellow board member like he was a 2-year-old. You chastised him for disagreeing with you. Lady, you are everything that's wrong with the bureaucracy that's here in this building. Downsville Pike is a disgrace. The teachers are doing a great job in this county, like the people that got the awards. But people like you hamstring their abilities to teach children like mine. You're a fucking disgrace. Fuck you. Have a good day.
Beautiful. I love this guy. I love this guy.
I loved every minute of that.
Awesome.
It sang to my soul. And this is
That's
what
awesome.
we need more of.
Yes.
We need our officials to be called.
And I hope he
out.
sues the ever loving
I
shit
hope
out
he
of those
does
people
too.
Oh yeah. And if
for what they do to his kid.
Yes. He's got
aggravates the ever living piss out of me.
Yes.
Having to sit there and watch those school board members who are nothing but bureaucrats think they can do whatever they want, however they want, because he's 100% right. It's about the money. It's about the money
absolutely.
that schools get for kids that have a disability, and they hate for them to be pulled out of that and go into a specialized school because they no longer get the money.
No. That is exactly what it is. It is the most vile group of people making rules that nobody else is able to follow.
Yeah. Watch a local school board meeting one time, because they're all on YouTube or whatever. It's eye-opening. It's eye-opening.
The great post-World War II inflation was fed by the Federal Reserve doing exactly what they're planning to do now, namely buying up the bonds issued by the Treasury.
But don't you have, I have to say, I wasn't expecting your answer to run in this direction. So I don't have follow-up questions prepared, or I may actually have to think here in real time.
Oh, yeah.
But don't we have the example of that period from 83 through a couple of years ago, that 25 years of economic expansion? We had only 2 downturns. They were both very shallow and very brief. And what you had was Paul Volcker, whom Carter appointed, but Reagan gave the freedom actually to wring inflation out of the currency. He did that by the mid-'80s. The economy takes off. Alan Greenspan does a reasonably good job, and then at the end, there's too much money but maybe 5 years of getting it wrong. So
what Volcker did was undo the harm that previous Federal Reserves had done,
including Arthur Burns.
Yeah, unfortunately, who was my teacher and one whom I much admired.
Right. So, but what would you replace it with? How would the currency? How would the currency run?
We would replace it. We could replace it with what existed when it was created,
which was the gold standard.
Well, maybe the gold standard, but maybe not. But there's no evidence that what would you replace it? Things always bother me. You know,
they do?
When someone removes the cancer, what do you replace it with? The great.
I love this man. I love Thomas Sowell.
Oh,
yep.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Oh, I just, I had to bring it up. He's the man that says socialism in general has a record of failure so blatant that only an intellectual could ignore or evade it.
Oh my goodness.
This is where we're at. I mean, like I said, the amount of crap that comes out in just overnight, just to try to avoid how crappy Biden did on Thursday.
Dude, you knew after watching that debate that they were going to have to go into complete and total PR mode. You knew it because it was so blatantly obvious to anybody, even a casual observer, as to
they knew it was going to. That's why they didn't have it live too.
Yeah,
they pre-recorded it so they could get their story. They knew it was going to happen. So they had to all get their story straight.
Yes.
They were going to, how they were going to address it. They were going to go after him initially, and then they're going to circle the wagons.
Oh yeah, no, and that there was and Basher, isn't that her name? Dana Bash, or whatever.
Dana Bash. I think she used to. Who was it? She used to work for? Was it George W? She used to be a part of his administration.
Not important enough.
Yeah, but no, you have to remember her husband was the one that came up with the documents against Trump about all of the Russia disinformation. That was her husband.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that was her husband that did that. That came up with all that Russian disinformation bull malarkey.
Yeah, that's all a lot. Yeah, it's lies.
And of course, their PR for this is New York AP. To a large extent, it almost didn't matter that Dana Bash and Jake Tapper were on stage. The two CNN journalists prepared meticulously to moderate Thursday's presidential debate between Joe and Don, in the first ever battle between the sitting president and his predecessor, and asked several sharp questions. Not only were many of them ignored, of course, because you don't have to answer, and this is what they tried to spin. Well, Donald wouldn't answer the question. Well, neither did Biden. Neither of them would answer the question. They finished what they had to say. But the impression that some Americans were left with about the president, his fitness, there's no question that this was not what the Biden campaign wanted or needed, and that's bullshit right there. Because I will say this time and time again, that the reason they had the debate, the reason it was pre-recorded, the reason it was done on CNN, the reason it was done at the time of day that it was done, all of this was proposed by Biden's campain.
Yep. And Trump accepted all of it.
Yeah, Trump was like, I don't care.
I'll do it. Yeah. No different than whenever Joe Biden sits there and talks about, let's play a golf game and see where you're at, as long as you carry your own bag. Well, how about you, Joe? You can't even carry yourself.
He can't even hit the ball.
Here's the thing. This tells you how dumb the Democratic strategists are. When Biden's given terms and Trump accepts it, shouldn't you be worried?
Yeah.
As hard line as Trump is, as big of a negotiator as Trump is, and he's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Got it.
Yeah.
He shows up, and the biggest thing that they can talk about is he doesn't show up with Melania. Why would he? He doesn't have to.
Well, why would she be there for that? There was no audience.
Right.
You know what? She's staying home, keeping it wet for him.
Yep.
That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Jill was there basically to tell him, you're such a good boy. You did so good. You answered all those questions.
You did it all.
You did it all.
I was like, oh, that's what you tell us.
Talking in his earpiece.
Yeah, probably.
The biggest thing that they could come up with, was Trump lied. About what?
But he didn't.
Yeah. Give us the specifics.
But he didn't.
Oh. And there's a full panic about his performance. It said NBC's chucked out. Of course, the event organized by CNN. Did the moderators play a role? No, they asked. Here's the thing. They asked about the economy, which we should be interested in, immigration, that we should be interested in as Americans. Right. What does abortion have to do with Americans? Absolutely nothing. As a whole, this should be out of the federal government. And
it's a state by state issue.
But it's their only talking point. That's the reason it was brought up. It's the Democrats' only talking point.
Threats to democracy. As again, do I need to play it again to show you the difference between democracy and a republic? The litany of issues that ranked among the most important problems facing the country, according to some Gallup poll. But that doesn't matter because most Americans don't give two shits about abortion. They do not consider it a right to kill people. They don't like it.
Believe it or not, folks, there is a way to avoid that altogether.
Oh yeah. There's something that works 100% of the time at Strive.
Well, that's true.
There's a 100% effective cure for it.
But for those of us who can't control themselves, there are other alternatives.
Yes. And of course, the Tapper said.
Well, but we're down one. There's one less alternative.
Yes,
that we were taught would work, but apparently it doesn't.
And of course, here's one thing that Tapper brought up. You have 60 seconds left. Whenever Tapper said to Trump when he didn't address the opiate addiction right now and get the treatment they need. This is not the government's problem.
Well, but he did address it. It's called shutting off the border.
Yeah.
Because right now because of the opioid crisis, you have a lot of doctors who would normally give out pain medication to patients that really need it post-surgery, and now they're stopping that. Like people,
they can only give so many days. They only give 7 days worth.
Right.
Well, and then it says, at another point, Bash asked Trump whether he would support the institution of a Palestinian state, and Trump said, "I'd have to think a bit before we do that." That's perfect.
Yeah.
And then he went on to talk about how crappy NATO was. Bash also went, which he did. He did. He bashed NATO because we shouldn't be, and that's the thing they don't talk about is why are we funding NATO? Because if you look at the cost-based analysis on this, it's costing us more than the benefit we're receiving from it.
Right, and nobody else contributes. Nobody else contributed until Trump.
Until
Trump forced them to actually, and they're still not contributing what they should be.
Right.
No, that's because Biden is president now. So they don't feel the need to. And then, of course, Bash went on to ask Biden a second time what he would say to black voters. I would say, are you American or are you black American? Because, I would say if you're American, then vote. Get out and put your vote out and vote for the best candidate to do the job. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Hispanic, German, Russian. It doesn't matter what your initial, great grandparents were. Like, if you're an American, if you think that you're an American above all of this hyphenated name, then you should be out there voting. You should be concerned with what your local government is doing, what your federal government is doing. You should be very concerned with every single bit of that. But of course, Biden doesn't know any better. And basically, he could have just sat there and said, well, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Wow. That just took away everyone's agency right there.
See,
no one would ever say that.
Here's my problem, and I have a controversial stance on this. I don't think everybody should vote.
True.
If you don't know what's going on, if you don't know the policies of the different candidates and so on and so forth, I'm not going to encourage you to vote. I'm sorry.
If you are a contributing taxpayer to the system, you should have no say in where my tax dollars go.
Right.
If you don't own property, you should have no say in how my property is taxed or used. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, my brother-in-law actually came up with a system. He said, okay, if you're a landowner, then you get a vote. If you're a veteran, you get another vote. If you so on and so forth. He basically had a point system for how many votes that you get. And I was like, that's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah. Because some people have a lot more at stake.
Yes.
In the economy and government and how things are run than others. And their voice should count more than others. Sorry. Some people should have no voice at all.
Right. Exactly.
Risa wants you to say exactly what you said before Wallstorm talked about.
What? That those who are contributing taxpayers and those who own property are the ones who should get the vote. They are the ones who have the most at stake for what happens in the government. You should not, if you don't pay in taxes, if you are a net tax receiver, you should not be able to say where my tax dollars go. You should have no say in how my property is operated, what I can do on my property, and how it's taxed and where those tax dollars go.
Yeah, try being a non-stockholder of a company and see how many votes you get.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Who votes in a stockholders meeting? Owners of the stock. It could be one freaking share. You are still you have something to gain or lose, so your vote counts. If you're not part of that, then what France says, what another country says, what one of these sov sit says means absolutely nothing.
I love sovereign citizens, though.
I do too.
Yeah, and Reese is right. Reese doesn't have kids. She pays school tax. I don't. My kids are homeschooled, and I pay school tax.
Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't have to. If your kids aren't in
shouldn't
school,
have
you
to.
shouldn't have to.
Exactly.
And
Cynthia's right there. Depending on the surgery, 7 days are not enough. When my wife had her ACL surgery, that first week was absolute hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, the first 2 weeks because of and she ran out that after that first week. She used it up in the first round in the 7 days, and it was a Friday, so she could not get any for a couple of days.
Well,
it was hell trying to get the refill was absolute hell for a day.
Yeah.
She had nothing for a day, and they because they grafted part of her quadricep tendon off her knee, above her knee, to repair the ACL. She could not move her leg. I had to help lift her leg up to get her in and out of bed, into the shower. I mean, it was hell for 2 weeks.
And Cynthia's got a great point. Okay, if you're, say you go have surgery, in your wife's case, and the medicine runs out after 7 days, if they don't give you a refill, what are you going to do? You're going to
suffer that day.
You're either going to suffer or you're going to resort to illegal means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you've done is made the opioid crisis worse.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, and hers is bad because she has to go through the VA.
Oh God. Oh, I'm sorry.
And thankfully they let me pick it up for her because she couldn't drive. So they let me pick it up. But I mean, I had to have her ID and I had to have stuff with me.
Right.
Really, I had to have her ID. And they had me in the system too. I picked up stuff before, but there were hoops I had to go through in order to pick it up for.
Yeah.
Because it's a controlled narcotic.
And Cynthia makes a very good point. Pain management is not covered by most insurance companies. You have to pay out of pocket, which can be very expensive, and you're financially preyed upon. Yeah, I mean it is one of those where and they will jack the prices up if they possibly can.
Yeah,
I mean,
so thank you to all of the taxpayers out there for helping with my wife's pain management.
Yeah.
Right.
Except now they're trying to fuck with her on her physical therapy, because her orthopedist, they referred her out third party to watch her. She's supposed to be going twice a week. Well, she only gets so many visits that the VA authorizes, and she has been out 3 weeks. She's been out of visits now. We're into her third week, and the VA's like, well, the doctor wants to see you. She's gonna have to go into the VA.
Yep.
To meet with them about whether she can even continue and whether they're going to make her go to the VA, which is twice as far away from the house as the where she's going physical therapy. And of course, with 2 kids at home during the summer, she can't go. She was going to try to go Friday, and that particular office at the VA is closed on Fridays.
And guess what?
And so we're another week without therapy.
It's even worse than that. It's even worse than that, MG, because whenever she does manage to go back to the VA, they're going to have a completely different doctor that she's going to have to give them all of the information.
Well, they do really good here. She has the same. It's her primary doctor or whatever. But it's you have an orthopedic that you've referred her out to that's been handling her for almost a year, who's recommended twice a week physical therapy. And she goes back, and it's just give her enough for two times a week until she goes back to the orthopedist at the end of July. Because he may decide she doesn't need it anymore, or she can go to 1 day a week. But no, the VA is going to try to interject, say, no, we know better, and we don't think you should be doing therapy.
Yeah.
And she's not ready.
Well, and meanwhile, all that does is it creates more complications. So down the road, they're going to have to pay more money because she's not getting the therapy she needs.
Yeah, she's doing stuff at home.
Right.
But she had the equipment that they do at physical therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
Now she's her birthday's coming up, so there's one of these therapy balance ball. I don't know what it is, but she's wanting me to get one of those. I'm it's a couple $100.
Right.
And she may only need it for the next month or two.
There's something you can check this out, MG. There's places that you can go that accept donations of unused medical equipment. I know because whenever my father-in-law, whenever he passed, we took a bunch of stuff to one of these places that you can go to and probably pick it up on a really lower amount, pay a lot less for it, and it's been used. And whenever you're done with it, you can turn around and donate it back to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So go check those.
Well, it's something that
places
she
out.
probably would want to keep because we've got other stuff that she's had for a while that she uses, so she probably would keep it.
Well,
But-
even if she wants to keep it, it'll still be slightly used, and it has the same effect. I mean, and I suggest anybody out there that has used medical equipment, go find one of these places where you can donate the stuff that takes it. I mean, we donated, I think it was a wheelchair, one of those things that you use in the shower and things like that are really, that they'll turn around, and especially people that have, like, they can't afford anything at all, they'll definitely donate those things out to those people first. But yeah, they'll have stuff like that, and you can always call ahead and ask them, one of those places that accepts donations if they have anything like that.
I was cleaning out my garage and found like 3 or 4 sets of crutches. I was like, why do we have so many sets of crutches here?
I think I still have one of the crutches in the trunk here.
Yeah.
Because for a while we kept one in the car, and one of the because for a while she used 2. Then she went down to just 1, so I kept one in the trunk. It's still there.
Right.
She hasn't used crutches in 6 months or more.
Baby, I got you covered. I got a crutch in the trunk.
Yeah, I kept it there.
It's actually smart.
And now it just gets in the damn way. Like go to Costco and I have like cases of water, and it's just in the damn way. But it's back there with our Taekwondo weapons. Our bow staffing. I'm ready. Oh, in the other car, I got a baseball bat.
Oh my god!
Hey, got a wooden bat. It's splintered a little bit when I was using it, but I can break it over someone's head if I need to.
Do you have a glove and a ball to go with it, just as a cover?
Not in the trunk, no. They're in the garage.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't be able to hit with the wooden one. It's already been, you can't miss the pitch that much or you'll break a wooden bat. So it's technically broken. And so, but if I have to use it, it's gonna break over the person's face. But
perfect.
It'd be great.
Jeez.
But it's together enough that I can hurt somebody with it if I have to. I've had it back there for 18 years, so
wow,
it's gonna stay there.
And check out those places that accept donations. You need a portable oxygen machine. I know that we, man, I'll have to check, but my aunt-in-law, I guess is what you would call it, my wife's aunt. She had a not a portable oxygen machine, but like a couple of those like CPAP machines that actually supply oxygen back into the body, not just CPAP, but you use them to like use as like an inhaler. It's a really weird machine.
It's kind of a forced air thing on this.
Those things are expensive as crap because he had like 3 different ones, and one of them was like this rental, and because it didn't get returned to him, they wanted to charge like him something like 30 grand or something like for this thing that I don't think he ever even was able to use, or he used it a few times.
Oh man, I mean, renting medical equipment is expensive.
Well, and they wonder with the pain management why people they end up with unused stuff, medicines in their cabinets, and people get a hold of them,
right?
Because you're afraid to get rid of them because it's hell to try to get more if you need it.
Right.
And you never know when you're going to need it because sometimes something happens and you hurt your back. You can't move, so you need some of those pain meds.
Yeah, a nebulizer. That he had like
nebulizers.
A few of those.
That's not. No, it's a. I know what you're doing. It's kind of a CPAP, but it has some forced air to it. The nebulizer is for asthma.
Yeah, breathing treatment.
It's actual.
Well, no, it's not just for asthma. See what it was is he was getting low oxygen levels in his bloodstream. That was making him like completely disoriented.
But that's not what the nebulizer's for.
No.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
what
no,
this
the
thing is.
nebulizer is you put albuterol, you put medicine in there, and it basically forces air through it to make it into water to droplets that you can breathe in to your lungs. I think what you're talking about is kind of like a CPAP with kind of some additional forced oxygen.
Well, and he also had a nebulizer. Plus, he was diabetic. I mean, the guy was like falling apart left and right. It was just. Let's put it this way. Really, 60 years of bad living, followed by another 15 years of even worse than that living. So he was a heavy smoker.
But he probably enjoyed his life while he could. I mean, those 60 years, he probably had fun.
No, he didn't. That's the thing. He didn't have fun. That's the bad part about it. He it was sad. It was really sad to see. I mean, there's a reason why they divorced. At one point, it's just like it was not good. It was not good. But I'm gonna end this here stream really shortly, and because there will be more tomorrow, and I've got more for you guys.
Nice.
It's gonna be amazing. And with that, everybody,
I still got like 45 minutes to get to court. Jeez. well, maybe 40. Just depends on traffic.
Well, I will say that I can't go for another 40 minutes because I have got to get to work.
You got work.
Yeah, you son of a.
Now I gotta call somebody to come get me because my car turned into a spaceship and I don't know how to fly it. I'm not an astronaut.